Have you ever heard of stretch capacity? This is a principle or an analogy that was taught to me when I had an opportunity to serve with someone in my local church congregation and responsibility. She had attended a training where they were talking about the stretch capacity of the individuals that we were working with. And if you think about it like a rubber band, some people have the stretch capacity of a large rubber band that might be over a big package, and they can stretch pretty far. They have strength but even still, big rubber bands, if they are stretched too far, will break. Some people have a really small stretched capacity, and I envision in my head one of those small, tiny rubber bands that we would use in little girls' hair. And if you stretch that one, it only goes a little far, but it can stretch a little. But then if you stretch it too far or you try to do too much with it, it will break easily. And each of us have our own stretch capacity, our ability to be able to handle the things that are happening around us, our ability to be able to be pushed outside of our comfort zone. And as you're interacting with others, or if you are leading a team, an acknowledgement of an individual stretch capacity will help you to be able to make different decisions. We talk about this a lot when we're talking about resilience with organizations, because individuals who have resilience, and the way that we define that is the ability to remain optimistic, even if a circumstance or a situation doesn't go their way, or how to return to optimism if there is a challenge. And resilience is practiced in personal and professional ways, but especially in the workplace for those who are dealing with team members who have projects that they're taking on, their ability to be able to bounce back, especially if they have hit one of those max stretch capacity moments, or maybe even that stretch capacity is broken, being able to bounce back from those circumstances. And sometimes those breaking points can be healthy because they can help us build strength. We can check and understand our limits, but sometimes breaking points of stretch capacity actually really lead to burnout or frustration, or even somebody having a difficulty getting back into their normal routines. One of the other ways that we talk about this professionally is someone's ability to have a resilience reserve. And pre-2020, resilience reserves are different than they are now. And it's been fun to read the research, and also interesting to see that, especially 4 years later, we're doing much better than we used to. And yet some people will find that it is harder to feel rested, or they find that their patience level it's just like shorter. They're not able to have the patience for the duration that they used to. Some people might say they seem easily frustrated or agitated. And so this is all normal of an environment. In fact, many people are affected by what's happening in current events, in a presidential election year, situations that are happening in other countries, conflicts. The research shows that people are affected within their happiness and resilience by what's happening in current events. So you add the stressors that are happening at work, the daily micro stressors of just living, the stressors of what's happening in the news, and it can feel very overwhelming. And for someone who doesn't have resilience reserves built up, it can also feel incredibly taxing, and we can feel stretched beyond our limits. Now, we've talked about the importance of building resilience in the workplace, but today I want to share with you 3 principles that can help you build your resilience reserves. I have a list of 10 available on my website if you'd like to go see it, but I want to share 3 with you today that will help you build those resilience reserves, build your stretch capacity back to where it has been before, especially if you're finding that it has shrunk or lessened over time. Number 1, focus on habits more than goals. I think it's easy to be a goal-driven organization, and it's easy to be a goal-driven human. We can have things like we want to run a marathon, or we want to save $5,000, or we want to go on a specific trip. And so we have these goals in the back of our minds that we want to accomplish, and goals actually are very healthy for building resilience. However, because we've had a few years where we haven't been able to hit our goals in the same ways that we wanted to, many people are sharing that they aren't setting goals like they used to. This is totally common, totally normal. And yet it's still important for us to have something that we're working on or working towards. That said, it can't just be, I want to lose 40 pounds. Instead, we have to take the goal and shift it into actions, daily actions that matter, and give ourselves the plan and the format for success in that goal. So being goal-minded is important, but being committed to the actions and the habits that will help us reach the goal is better, because the actions will help us to feel success even daily. So take any goal that you want to accomplish, break it down into daily, weekly, and monthly goals, and stay committed to that. Even if you don't accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, you will know, and you don't get to the goal as fast as you would have in the past, you know that you're working towards that goal because you are biting off small, tiny chunks of things that you can control. You can't wake up tomorrow and guarantee that there's going to be $5,000 in the bank if that's your goal. But you could choose to say, I'm going to save $5 a day until it happens. And then next month, I'm going to save $10 a day. And in the month after that, I'm going to save $20 a day. And I'm going to put it into this account, and I'm going to do that daily action. Now, maybe it's weekly, maybe it's monthly. You get to decide the terms. But what we have found, especially in resilience depleted individuals, that focusing on the habits helps them bring the results that they want faster. So habits first, goals second, but you kind of need both. They need to be married together. Number 2, give yourself an or opportunity when it comes to movement. I think daily movement of your body is an important way to build your resilience reserves. The mind-body connection is ever present, and it's so easy to, when you're feeling depleted, when you're feeling burnt out, when you're feeling overwhelmed, to say, I just don't have the energy for the gym, or I just don't have the energy to get on the treadmill, or I just don't have the energy to go out and walk a 5K, whatever that is. So tell your brain that when you know movement matters, fresh air matters, moving the body matters, and the brain matters, that regardless of any number on the scale or how your clothes fit, that movement helps you build your resilience reserves. Give yourself an or. So here's what that looks like. Maybe you have a favorite workout. Maybe you love to go running. Maybe you love to go to the gym. But give yourself an or situation. So you can say, hey, today am I going to go to the gym, or am I going to go walking for 25 minutes? And so you have an or opportunity. Instead of it being yes or no on the gym, there's an or something that you could do that might be easier on your body, easier on your mind, but it's something that you know you could accomplish. Even if you have to do 5 days in a row of just going out and walking for 25 minutes, it's so much better for you than spending 5 days on the couch saying, I just can't make it to the gym, or I just can't do my weight workout, or I just can't go run 5 miles. So give yourself an or and make movement a daily priority. Again, it doesn't have to be big, but that mind-body connection is so important that if you want to build some of those resilience reserves back, that you are able to focus on what you can do rather than what you can't do without getting overwhelmed. And number 3, find new ways to practice gratitude. I have long been talking about gratitude journals, gratitude practices, and if this is new to you, then I will say a gratitude journal is, for me, the fastest and quickest way to stay optimistic and to make sure that I am focusing on what's going right rather than what's going wrong. And it's a mindset shift, because sometimes we're in depleted places, or we're feeling burnt out, or our stretch capacity is at its max. It can feel like we are seeing more things that are going wrong than are going right. And that might be true, but we have to catalog the things that are going right. And so whether it's a daily gratitude journal, every night you write down 5 things that you're grateful for, or one of the things that we did in our house for a while, when I could tell my entire family needed a little bit more help in this department, and we all needed that mindset shift, I stuck a giant sticky note poster board up on the wall, and I just had everybody write 1 or 2 things a day. And it filled up. It took a couple weeks to fill up, but 1 or 2 things a day, we were able to share in the gratitude together, focus on the things that were going right, and we could see it fill up, and there was a lot of satisfaction to that. So however you want to practice it, I think that's great. I'll share a couple of other practices. One of my friends, Ashley Miller, talks about going into different rooms of your house. Even if you only have 3 rooms, stand in your living room. What are you grateful for in this room? In your kitchen, what are you grateful for in this room? In your bedroom, what are you grateful for in this room? In your bathroom, what are you grateful for in this room? And it allows you to tangibly connect to the things that you do have rather than thinking about the things that you don't. We have a culture, especially in America, where we feel like success is tied to the things that we have. And so we're always wanting that next bigger, better thing. We want the best iPhone, we want the best laptop, we want the best shoes, we want the best clothes. And so sometimes in that effort, we feel like success is tied to the things that we have. And while that might work for you in some ways. I know that gratitude and really true optimism comes from knowing and being grateful for what we actually do have rather than what we want. And so it can be something simple like that, where you walk around and just be grateful for what you're having, what you have right this very minute. Another gratitude practice that I learned from Ashley is to go through the alphabet, and you think of something that starts with each letter. A, I am grateful for my husband, Aaron. B, I'm grateful for being outside. And you can just use any kind of words that you need. But if you can get through the whole alphabet, then you also get grounded in 26 things that are working for you in your life. And maybe over the course of time, you'll put it in on a piece of paper. And maybe that's the easiest way for you to keep track of it, because it might be tricky to do 26 in a day. But maybe you could say, okay, this week I'm working on finding 26 things, one for each letter of the alphabet. Gratitude is such an important positivity practice. And I think for me, for sure, I know that I go through phases where I am completely committed to the practice. And then I go through other phases where I forget about it or I get out of my routine. But I also know that when I am working on building my stretch capacity, it is important for me to focus on the things that are going right, the things that are working, the things that I'm able to do, even if I feel depleted. It helps me focus on what's working rather than dwelling on what's not. And so some of those mindset and even physical activities can help build those reserves. And if you have ways that are building your resilience reserves, we would love to hear about them. And again, if you'd like to find the top 10 ways to build your resilience reserves, you're welcome to go to my website at speakmichelle.com/resilience, and you'll be able to get that resource there. And if you're interested in more of this research that we've conducted, go to speakmichelle.com/research, and you can download the full report of the most important statistics regarding happiness and resilience for individuals. I am cheering for you, and I am hoping that you are able to find ways to build your reserves. Maybe you only do a little bit of rebuilding. Maybe you feel like you are in a massive rebuilding stage. Don't worry and don't get overwhelmed about the amount that needs to be done. Focus on the simple activities that bring regular results for you in your life. All those daily micro stressors and all the macro stressors in your life will continue to be there. I wish I could say they would all go away, but you'll have the mental fortitude and the mental capacity to be able to handle it. That I promise. Thanks for being here. Stay tuned and watch for our next video next week.